Hey, man, what's going on?
Oh, just looking forward to doing this episode today because I think there's a lot of people out there who are trying to start MSP businesses.
I'm gonna ask you like a completely off-topic question.
That's what cold opens are for.
Is pizza a sandwich?
Pizza a sandwich?
So,
Well, I mean, it has bread and it has some type of sauce and it has toppings, aka fillings. I would say if you're one of those people who folds it before you eat it, yes. But if you're not, good question.
So there's this wonderful website called cuberule.com, Cuberule. The Cube Rule of Food for identifying dishes based on starch locations. There are 6 possible solutions here. You can have toast, you can have a sandwich, you could have a taco, you could have sushi, you could have a soup salad with a bread bowl, or you could have a calzone. Okay? Those are your 6. So it's all about the structure of it. So pizza, nigiri sushi, and a slice of pumpkin pie, because it's bent, are toast. A quesadilla, Victorian sponge cake, and anything between 2 pieces of toast are a sandwich. Inside of tacos, you have a hot dog, a sub sandwich that's uncut, and a slice of pie because it's a taco on its side. Under sushi, which is wrapped around all 4 sides, you have a falafel wrap, pigs in a blanket, and an enchilada. Oh, the bread bowl one is quiche. Sorry, the 5 is a quiche. So cheesecake that has a full cheesecake with bread all the way up, soup in a bread bowl, or falafel pita. Also, deep dish pizza, salad in a bread bowl, and key lime pie. And a calzone, which is all 6 sides of the cube covered, is a burrito, a corn dog, and a whole pie. Bonus rounds are dumplings, Pop-Tarts, and an unbitten Uncrustable. If there is no bread on any of the sides, it's considered a salad, and that includes steak, mashed potatoes, and flan. Bonus round, turducken, chocolate, and soup, which is known as a wet salad. And then it goes on, like, if you have layers of toast, it's called a cake. So that's lasagna, a Big Mac, or flapjacks. And if you have starch inside of nothing, that's nachos. So that's poutine, Lucky Charms, salad with croutons, fried noodles, couscous, and ramen. Those are just known as wet nachos. Cuberule.com. And to be honest, what's funny about this is that this entire thing started because somebody asked the question of, are hot dogs sandwiches? And in the state of New York, according to the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance Taxpayer Guidance Division, this bulletin explains what is considered a sandwich, and on that list is hot dogs and sausages on buns and rolls. So thank you, the state of New York.
Customers don't want to have their support call answered by a bot. And if a real live human being answers the phone, they don't want to have to struggle to understand them. What your customers do want is a tech support specialist who speaks plainly, clearly, and has the skills and knowledge to help solve their issue. You want your customers to enjoy that kind of excellent experience. Give your customers what they want without blowing your budget by partnering with Helped. Helped's US-based experts answer 24/7 by 365, serving as your help desk. Check out atmsp.link/helped. That's atmsp.link/HELPT for more info. Traditional vulnerability management is outdated, disruptive, and costly. Nodeware offers MSPs a better solution. Continuous 24/7 vulnerability scanning, even during business hours, with no network impact. Deploy it remotely via software agents and sensors, eliminating the need for extra hardware and on-site visits, saving you time and money. The multi-tenant dashboard with built-in remediation guidance and patch management makes it easy to identify, manage, and remediate vulnerabilities quickly, helping you better protect your clients. Visit atmsp.link/nodeware to learn more.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the All Things MSP podcast. I'm your host, Justin Esgar, and with me always is the man with the plan in Beard 2D2, Mr. Eric Anthony. It's either that or Kylo Fuzz.
No, the Beard 2D2 is better because...
Beep, boop, error, too much face foliage.
Yeah.
Welcome to this. Well, I was going to do it. This is not
whatever,
good.
Go.
This is not good. What's up, everybody? Welcome to part 2 of why you should start an MSP. The answer of part 1 was don't. No, I'm kidding. Listen, go back if you haven't heard part 1. Listen to part 1 because this part won't make any sense. We are continuing the conversation about, a lot of new MSPs coming out in the market, a lot of people that are changing careers and starting MSP. So we wanted to do kind of like a getting started guide. Last week we talked about a little bit about starting with your why. We talked a little bit about how much revenue you need to sustain your lifestyle. We did touch a little bit on tech stack. Today I kind of wanted to get into what services should someone offer, and then the big one, which is how to start getting clients.
Yeah.
Which, again, like I said last week, even if you're a veteran in this industry, could be a good refresher course for you. So let's jump into the what services should I offer, because what's funny is as we're recording this, I happen to be in a Slack called Mac Admins. There's 70,000 Mac admins in there. Sorry, they're not all MSPs. In the MSP Stack channel, my good friend Glenn had just asked the other day has anyone thought of considering password management as part of their stack, such as a 1Password? And I tell people, we don't offer it as part of our stack. We do sell it as part of the new 1Password MSP program, but we do tell clients to use it. My friend Tim said we sell it to them, but don't include it. And then our good friend Matt Wostoff jumped in and said, if it were me, I would add it to a, quote, security higher level offering that would also include Vanta. Like, it's funny how such a simple thing of like password management just kind of went through its paces of like what, in terms of like what services should I offer? Like, here's a pace of a simple thing. What do you do password management? And it went from like, sell it, don't sell it, include it, sell it with a better offering. So like, Eric, new MSPs are lost. Like, what should they sell? My answer is everything. A lot of people say no. But what do you think?
So I think that you need to take less of a stack look at this and talk about what solutions do your clients need.
Yeah.
And I think that item number 1 is help desk. That is what they are primarily looking for an MSP for, especially when you're talking about a micro SMB that doesn't have their own knowledge of IT, right?
Yep.
So a number 1, you've got to be able to answer the phone, help them with questions, be able to help them figure out how to print an envelope on their HP LaserJet printer.
Hello, IT. Have you tried turning it on and off again?
Yeah. So that's base. That's the first service that I think you have to have, because that's the main interaction that they're going to have with you, right?
Agreed.
Then I think second in importance, which it didn't used to be, I think my number 2, but I think it has moved into this position based on the threat, and that is security. You have to have some type of base cybersecurity offering. Now, how much it includes is going to be up to you and what your clients need, and or I don't want to say afford, but afford, when I say that word, I really mean how much risk.
Yeah, you have to offer cybersecurity for sure, right? Something, right? Antivirus, anti-malware, just as a baseline. Microsoft Defender for endpoint, or Malwarebytes or something, right? Because you have to, that's all low-hanging fruit. If you're going to start with baseline services, we're not asking you to secure their website, because WordPress security is a complete, a whole thing in and of itself. But at least offer to look at their website and say, hey, there are things here we should probably engage with somebody. But in terms of your own services, help desk, you mentioned, dead on. Some level of cybersecurity, dead on. Depending on the industry of the client, maybe some sort of advanced email security. Um, Google and Microsoft do a pretty good job of blocking spam, but if you need to take it a step further, you have things like Checkpoint or Barracuda or things like that, or even AppRiver, right, which is pretty cheap for email spam. So but it's got to be driven by what the customer needs, right? I mentioned this in the last episode. We talked a little bit about Blackpoint Cyber, and the only reason we went with Blackpoint Cyber was the client that I was working with got a NIST assessment from our cybersecurity experts, who again are not us. And they said, you need a SOC. And so we went out and got them a SOC. And then I had another client, weirdly enough, who did a NIST assessment with the same company. And their recommendation was not to get a SOC. They didn't recommend that for this second company. But they did say to the second company, you don't need this, but if you do want to enhance things, it'd be a nice to have. Whereas my first company, they were like, you need this. And so all of a sudden now I have 2 clients in Blackpoint Cyber, and now I have a new product to sell to other customers on my own, right? That's my point. Based on what you said, which is don't buy into stuff that the clients don't need. Right? It's fine to know about it or ancillarily learn something, but I say it's the same thing for certifications. Don't get certified in something that you're never going to use, sell, or whatever if your clients are 2-person mom and pop shops who don't need, I don't know, what CrowdStrike extra platinum plus. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. There's, again, you really just have to base it on what your ideal client needs, because here's part of this, and I probably should have mentioned this up front. When you're looking at what services you should offer, because we're talking about services here, not necessarily tech stack, you need to decide what you as a business want to sell in terms of services. And those services need to be aimed at a particular type of client. Now, one of the things that I would probably say here that would help with that is if you have some type of speciality, right? And so the cybersecurity needs of a client are going to be different depending on what space they're in, right? If they are a graphic design firm, as long as they don't work with any other highly secure businesses, their needs are going to be different than somebody who is a DoD contractor. And so you kind of take that into account when you're building these services in terms of what the clients need. And the other thing, and I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but it still does apply to services, is I think, especially when you're starting out, you do want to stay away from the bronze, silver, gold type of offering, unless you understand the dynamics between how to price a bronze, silver, gold to make sure that they always land on silver. Don't do that. Just offer, this is what we offer because this is what a small business needs. You can have add-ons. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But don't do the whole bronze, silver, gold thing, because they'll always try and gravitate to the cheapest one. And unless you understand how to package and price for that specific 3-tier model, don't do it.
I agree with you. I'm a big fan of Carl Palachuk, who when he wrote MSP in a Month, which was the Bible years ago, he talked about the 3-tiered plan, and for a long time we had it, and then we got rid of it. We're 2-tier plan, and even at that, we're not really. Our second tier, our lower tier, is a hidden item in our own paperwork on purpose, right? We're buy this or nothing, and then everything is an add-on. Especially if you're starting out, there's no reason why you can't have the add-ons. Set your base rate for the help desk side of things, and a base rate for, security. Put those two things together. And then everything else is, an add-on. You want to add on SOC, you want to add on, I don't know, a higher level of cybersecurity, you want to add on dark web, you want to add on DNS filtering. Like, this is how you make money in the very beginning, because you figure out what the cost is of all those items if they were to buy everything. You times that by 4, and that's your base help desk rate as is, even though if they're not. And then when they do buy it, you're just making straight profit on all of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, if you're going to charge $150 and you know that this client is eventually going to buy all of your products, you figure out what all that is. Let's say your cost for everything is $40 an endpoint. You're going to charge, let's say, 4 times that, so $160 per endpoint. If they don't buy into everything, you're still making profit. And as soon as they buy into add-ons, you're already still making profit, because your cost isn't actually your cost. Your cost is what you think it would be if they bought everything, right? Like, you're going to make more money this way.
Yeah. And, I tend to look at pricing just a little bit differently. Cost is obviously important. And I think that most people do not 4X their costs. So I think you and I would probably arrive in the same area in terms of price. Yeah. If we actually did our calculations both ways. I tend to look at it more from a value conversation, like what value is it driving for the end customer? And sometimes, although I would say probably typically, that is going to drive more profit than simply doing a cost up approach, unless you're doing a factor like you are. And I think that's where ultimately, even though you and I probably look at this from 2 different angles, we're probably going to get to about the same price and the same profit margin.
I'm going to give you a third angle to throw you off, because someone told me this years ago, and I wish we could have applied this. And maybe you can if it's a smaller business, which is ask them how much money they're going to lose if a device goes offline for an hour, a day, a week. Yeah.
Well, that's the value conversation.
Right. Like that, like the problem is that it's hard to justify that unless you're a really good salesperson. It's hard to justify that price, because like I have a client who was like, if this computer goes offline for a week, we'll lose $10,000 a month. I'm like, cool. I'm going to charge you $7,000 a month to keep this computer online. And they were like, no. And I was like, cool. I'm going to charge you $170 a month to keep this computer online. They're like, that's better. Like it's a real hard push on that one.
Well, and the other thing that I think a lot of people starting out don't calculate into these numbers is the labor cost of their work. Because let's face it, a lot of these people start out on their own, right? Yeah. Doing it by themselves. And so they don't actually think their labor has value. The problem with that is it's very hard to then transition from I'm doing all the work to myself or by myself, and then I need to hire somebody to do this work so I can go and do and grow the business, right? And so I think from the very beginning, you need to figure out how much a person is going to cost you to do that work and put that into your costs, because otherwise you're going to be dramatically behind when you get to the point where you need to hire that first person. Right. The other thing, because we did kind of get off topic into a pricing conversation here, is that your profit has to make up all of that money that you are going to pay yourself to pay your mortgage, to pay your car payment, to pay everything else that you have obligations for. And so you have to put that in there, or you are going to be very badly surprised at the end of the month.
Well, there is one way to make more money, and that's to get more clients. So let's talk about, that's the only way to make any money really, is to get any clients really.
Right.
So, I think for me, when I started out, it was a little different, not that the age of my business really changes things. But like when I first started out, keep in mind, and going back to my backstory, like I worked for a company, I left on bad terms. They tried to get me under an NDA, non-compete, that I had never signed in the beginning. I didn't sign it, so I didn't take severance. And I had clients who came over with me. Like I had a little bit of a kickstart. Forgetting those 4 small customers who came over with me. Getting my first customer, I started out because as an Apple member, we're Apple Consultant. We're members of the Apple Consultants Network. And we used to have monthly meetings, and I would go to them and offer my services to other consultants just so I can start getting money in, because that's the most important, is getting money in. But I also then started with getting customers on my own through the Apple Consultants Locator, which is, a little bit of a cheat in regards to the fact that I can just put my name out there and Apple will kind of direct people to that. It's a little harder for PC MSPs. But I would start, like, if this were like, what's that show, Undercover Billionaire, where the guy, like, they give him like $100 and a cell phone and a car. The second season was horrible. But like, I would start by literally calling everyone I know, everyone, and being like, hey, I'm starting this business. I'm taking care of IT. I'm trying to help people. I go back to your why. What's your passion? Who's your ideal client profile? Make sure you're talking to those people. And literally, like, asking everyone I know who's got a computer problem. Build up a base of something. Like, even if it's not, I think in the very beginning, even if it's not part of your ICP, like if you want to only do small micro businesses, but like you're getting residential, like, take them just to get started, because one, you don't know who they know. You don't know where they work. And you need some money, right? So start there. And then as that's going, start building out all of the quote unquote professional components to it, right? Your Google business profile, your LinkedIn page, try to find other communities similar to like the ACN thing that are in your neighborhood to put your name on, get your name on lists, on websites. That for a long time, we were a member of a program called Nonprofitist. Like, it was just a thing for nonprofits to be able to find help. And we were listed as an IT provider there. Like, there are plenty of things that are out there that you can do to grassroots your marketing in the very beginning. I remember, like, I even went on Craigslist when I first started and looked for anyone who lists Mac help. And it turns out, like, I ended up landing a customer who he posted, like, he needed help with his Mac server. And I went in and I started doing break fix. And then the company grew to be a 20-person company. And then he became a managed services client for a very long time. Yeah. He then inevitably fired everybody and the company shut down. And at that point, I was like, well, I only do 20-person businesses. I'm not helping you anymore. But like, there's plenty of places that clients exist. Attend where they attend. We've talked about that before. There's plenty of places where you can hang out. People. Yeah, hang out where they hang out.
So I think that grassroots, I think, is a great way to explain it, because first of all, you're trying to not spend as much money as possible, right?
Right.
Or to say that the right way, you're trying to spend as little money as possible on marketing and advertising. The one thing you do have is a lot of time. I think that talking to friends and family first kind of falls along the lines of referral, which means that you are probably going to close more of that business than if you just went out and cold called people. So I think there's definitely an advantage to doing it that way. But then at some point, you do need to figure out who your ideal client profile is, your ICP, who you're actually going to go after. We've done entire episodes on that. But then just start making lists, as you're walking down the street, what names are on the doors that are businesses that might work for you. Then go look them up, either contact them on LinkedIn, or if they have a phone number, call them. My point here is you have to put a system in place. Okay.
Yeah.
Because yes, you can go out and you can pay people to do this for you. It's going to be expensive. And when you start out, I think there's a learning process that happens by doing it yourself that makes you much more effective when you do go out and hire people to do this for you. So do it for yourself first, but create a process that allows you to know who you want to go after, allows you to find those people hanging out where they hang out, create a list. And again, you don't need a CRM to do this. You can do it in Google Worksheets or Excel, right? And then start reaching out to those people on a regular basis to offer your services. And, sometimes that looks like just offering interesting information about IT, right? Because let's face it, most of these people are not just going to go, hey, everything's great with my IT. Let me talk to another IT person about how they can help my business. No, that's not what's going to happen. They're going to have some kind of pain, whether they don't have an IT person and they have pain and they need somebody. If you're there in front of their face being helpful all the time, they're going to call you. Or they're having problems with their current IT provider and they have that pain, which you need to be ready, waiting, and in their face with, again, being helpful, so that you're there to solve that pain when they need you. Because chances are when you contact them the first time, they're not going to be in that pain that is going to prompt them to reach out.
If they're contacting you, they're in pain. If you're contacting them, they're most likely not. This is why, our good friend Paul Green says, like, reach out to people on LinkedIn, not even to help them, but just to see if you can get them on your email list, right? If you can get them on your mailing list and you're sending once a quarter at best, like whatever, something to do this stuff just to stay top of mind and relevant. That's a little bit of marketing. And I think for like a one person thing, it's tough to do that. Now, keep in mind, let's put a bow in all of this real quick, right? You're starting off this business. You're a one person shop. It's a lot, not going to lie. Like, this is a lot to worry about. You have to figure out your why. You have to figure out how much money you're going to need. You have to figure out what services you're going to offer, what you're going to figure out your tech stack, and how you're going to get these customers and how you're going to retain those customers. There's a lot to be going on here. When you first start out, we talked about freedom versus fortune in the last episode. Like, when you first start out, it's not freedom. Okay? Like, it's going to be a lot of work. If you can't handle it, you might be in trouble. But if you can, and you're okay, once in a while giving up a couple hours at night or on a weekend to like clean up your list or work on, learning something for your tech stack, or like figuring out how much money you really need to work on and working on your budget, do that, right? Like, spend an hour, like, even now, 17 years in business, like, when the shop is done for the day, when the clients are done for the day, like, I'm still working on business things at night because in fairness, I'm going for fortune, but like, there are things that need to be done. If you're a one person business, you're the only one who's going to do it. And even if you're a 20 person business, you may not have the person right now to do it. So it falls on you as the owner anyway. So like, work through that stuff, but just, I'm not going to lie. It's like walking through quicksand sometimes, but at the end of it, you make a really nice dish and everybody's happy and you get 3 Michelin stars and maybe a TV show out of it.
All the way back to the restaurant analogy. I like it.
I'm telling you, it really works. It's really bizarre. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to stop for now. Let us know, if you're new, how your adventure is going. Let us know if you need help. That's what Eric and I are here for. Both of us have individual plans. We have there's an IT MSP plan to help guide you along the way. There's things you can do. You can join masterminds. You can work with both of us, one of us, whatever, individually. There's things that we can do there. But there's also the entire group, facebook.com/group/allthingsmsp, 6,500 members at the time of this recording that are there to help. Post, what do I do about this client? What do I do about sales? What about this item versus this item? Who's in this program versus that program? Why should I do this? Why should I listen to the podcast? Because it's awesome. Like, there's things that you can do and people that are willing to help you. I think MSPs are probably for the most part, some of the nicest people who are willing to help. Yes, if you go on Reddit, everyone who asks for help, you get like one nice answer and the rest of it turns into like bashing of the person. But like, that's not what happens at the All Things MSP Facebook group. So check that out, facebook.com/group/allthingsmsp. Eric, any final words?
I would just say that, this is a lot of information. It's a lot of basic information, right? And our thoughts on getting started in the MSP business. There's a lot more to flesh out here. So if you do have questions, especially questions that we could do follow-up episodes on, we'd love to hear it. We also have kind of started this new thing where we're offering MSP therapy, which means you can come on the show and we will talk to you as an MSP and help you through a very specific issue that you might want our advice on, and specifically, that can help other people as well, because that's what we're here for, right? We are here to help the community and build everybody up. A rising tide lifts all ships, and that's the major purpose behind ATMSP.
There you go. Well, check us out, facebook.com/group/allthingsmsp for all of the Facebook All Things MSP news. See all of this in high def glory, youtube.com/@allthingsmsp. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, follow us on all of your favorite podcasting tools for future episodes. That's Eric. I'm Justin. We're your MSP hosts. Bye.
Thank you for listening or watching the All Things MSP podcast. If you liked this episode, go ahead and give us a thumbs up, hit that like button, and consider subscribing to catch all our weekly episodes. And from your host extraordinaire, Justin Esgar, and myself, Eric Anthony, your humble producer and All Things MSP founder, thank you very much for spending your time with us. If you are not aware, All Things MSP started as a Facebook group and now supports over 6,000 members. We also have a LinkedIn page for those of you who don't do Facebook, and make sure to check out our YouTube channel for even more content. A special thank you to our elite sponsor, CoreView, helping you manage your Microsoft 365 tenants instead of them managing you. And a big thank you to our premier sponsors, EasyDmark, Helped, GoZinta, MoveBot, and Nodeware. And thank you to the rest of our sponsors. Without sponsors, we could not do what we do for the MSP community. Please consider checking them out. The All Things MSP podcast is a BizPow LLC production. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not reflect the thoughts and opinions of any employer, vendor, sponsor, or random taxi driver in the Metro DC area. Be sure to join us next week for another exciting episode.